Welcome to LOA Today. I'm Walt Thiessen here with David Strickle, the Stream of David, and this is your daily dose of happy. We are so happy you decided to join us today and got a good show for you today because I've been doing some research, getting prepared to kind of add to my list of activities. I'm exploring the idea of becoming a public speaker, and I've been doing a lot of research toward that end and kind of putting together, what kinds of talks I would give and so forth, and learning how the industry works and all that kind of thing. And in the course of doing that, I realized I had a number of things that I thought it would be really helpful for Source Energy, which is, of course, the Stream of David, giving me some insights and giving me some things to think about as I'm doing my research. So, David, I'm going to put you through the paces today, or at least I'm going to put the stream to the paces. I know you always like that.
I don't like to be put through the paces, but I love it when the stream is put through the paces. So.
That's right, exactly, yes.
I just want an easy flow of just fun and ease, but the stream is not judgmental of those things, so you can ask away.
Okay, so that's good. So first, before we do that, let's just check in with you. How is it going with you? Are things well there in Palm Springs, desert country?
Yeah, things are good. It's a little chilly here, which is a nice little break from the hot weather, and having a nice holiday season, and as nice as it can be without having any get-togethers whatsoever.
Yes, right. It's a little different this year.
Date, yeah. So things are good. Things are good. The flow of life is with the tools that the stream offers, just living your life this way just gets everything's good. Whatever comes, our way is our manifestation, and we're able to meet it in joy if we choose to, even the things that on the surface seem like obstacles. And when you start doing that in life gets a whole lot better. So
by the way, do you have any, I know we're in the holiday season, so you're probably a little bit more into holiday mode rather than new programs and so forth, but I just wanted to ask you, do you have anything going on specifically that people need to know about where Taya is concerned and boot camp and all that kind of thing?
Well, boot camp is ongoing. People get into boot camp all year long, and you enter boot camp and you kind of get into the group and you do your work at you do that independently, and then the group is the group ongoing 365 days a year. So that's doing really, really well. It's done very well throughout this year with COVID and everything. December, you think people would be distracted and not getting into boot camp so much, but boot camp gets really busy in December. A lot of people are thinking, gosh, the holidays and the new year, and I really want to be in a, better vibrational flow for all of that. And they dive in and they do the work.
Cool.
So that's doing really, really well. My mastery program is up leveling for the new year. We have, for Taya Bootcamp graduates, you can get into a year-long mastermind group, and we just continue to sort of co-create the leading edge version of Taya, and then we take that back to the bootcamp people and even to the graduates in our base camp community, so everybody gets all of the newest, latest tools, teachings, and information. It's sort of you stay in as long as you want to stay in, and because of vibrational flow, this is how we tend to be in life. We go through this high period, and then vibration drops a little bit, and sometimes we fall off of our practices that keep our vibration on this upward trajectory, and we sort of revert back to our old habits and the way we used to be and things like that. But we can always get back. We can always sort of get back on track with it. And so we have lots and lots of tools in the Taya community just to keep people on track in their lives, so they continue to flow to these higher and higher levels. I've been doing this for a decade, Walt, and I have not found a ceiling yet to joy, clarity, and abundance. It just keeps getting bigger and bigger and bigger. But my abundance has shifted. My abundance used to be, big houses and fancy cars and Gucci loafers. That has changed significantly. My version of abundance is this morning when the pool guy showed up and he brought my dog a gift basket. That just brought such joy.
I love it.
No,
that is great.
I've manifested the big stuff. I know how to do that. That's the easy stuff. The finding the nuggets of joy in daily life is really where it's at. It's really, really where it's at. And I know that if you're struggling financially or with an addiction or in an abusive relationship, that may sound crazy, but this is where you can go with these teachings and these tools, is to get to a place where these little things, these little serendipitous moments are everything, because everything else is kind of easy. And then when other people are flowing in such a high vibrational way, you just appreciate it so much. And to have the pool guy show up with a gift basket for the dog, they love each other. She's so excited. He comes twice a week. She's so excited every time he shows up. And she goes out and they play, and she barks at him. She chases him around the pool while he's doing his stuff. And just that he was so thoughtful to do that just kind of made my day.
Yeah, no kidding. That's great. It's fabulous. And I love what you were just saying there, because it's very much in alignment with the kinds of things I've been trying to research for the series of talks that I'm putting together, because I'm trying to emphasize what it takes to improve our day-to-day outlook, knowing that that contributes directly to our long-term success. I mean, you described it in terms of us. It's easier in your view to get the big things in life, which is not the way most people think about it, but it's the way you think about it for sure because of your experience. But even those of us who haven't gotten as far as we want to get in terms of getting the big things in life, all of us can benefit from focusing more on the little things day to day. And that's going to be a big part of the talks that I'm putting together. So that's part of what I want to ask the stream about as well. So I'm glad you brought this up, because this ties in beautifully with what it is that I'm pursuing. So I'm going to ask you to make your connection to the stream. And while you're doing that, I'm going to remind people about the LOA Today app, because whenever you are interested in sending your questions in for the stream to answer, that's the best way to do it. We have the question form on the LOA Today app. It's under the goodies section that enables you to make your requests, send in your questions, and we do include them here on the show. Also, David was talking about the group and TIA Bootcamp and so forth, and you can find links to those kinds of activities in case you want to be participating in that in the co-host section of the app. Just look for David's picture and his bio there, and you'll see at the bottom there's links to a number of things, including to master classes and so forth. So take advantage of that and connect into what David is doing. But in the meantime, David has been making his connection, and I think we have a connection being made there. Do we have the stream?
We are here.
Welcome, stream. So glad to have you here today. And today I'm getting the opportunity to do something that I've been wanting to do for some time, because most shows, obviously, we are asking questions that our listeners have sent in. Today, I've kind of reserved for asking questions that I've been wanting to ask. I mean, I have endless lists of questions that I would love to ask you. So today is going to be about stuff that I've been wanting to ask about. And specifically, like I was telling David before he made the connection with you, I want to talk specifically about topics that are related to various talks that I'm starting to put together to give public speeches in schools and universities and businesses and so on and so forth. And I kind of want to get your take on it, because I figure you have some really great insights to share that I want to include in what I'm talking about. So without further ado, I have a few topic areas I want to go after. David, before we got started, before he made the connection with you, was talking about all the different ways that he's been really appreciating finding levels of joy and happiness, and how it just seems like there's never any end to how high we can go with that. Which is a topic we've talked about here on the podcast before, but I just wanted you to spend a couple minutes talking about what are the levels that we can reach here on Earth in our earthly form. I mean, I know that there are almost endless levels for so-called non-physical, for just being in source energy, pure source energy form. But for those of us who are here on Earth, what can we go for? How high is up, I guess is the question.
To answer that question, it's important that you first understand that the universe is expansive by nature, meaning that there is no limit to the expansion that can be created and experienced. And your expression in physical, and in this case, you're experiencing a perception of planet Earth in linear time as a human being, is equally as expansive, for it is a reflection of the universe. The universal process of creation is at work in what you consider your life experience as much as it's at work universally. And so there is no ending, there is no limit to what can be achieved via humanity, what can be achieved for your planet, what type of evolution can occur. All of that expansion is created via your contrast, via your experiencing things that you prefer and things that you do not, and crafting new ideas and birthing new creation from those ideas. There is no ceiling. There is no limit. The things that you dream up, and those of you that have kicked around in your lives for a few decades can think back to a time where there were things that you dreamed of for the future that came to be. And there are things that came to be in your future that were beyond your wildest dreams that you are now living and experiencing that you would have never imagined, could have never imagined, and yet here you are. That is a demonstration of the expansive nature of the universe. There is no limit. There is no limit to joy. There is no limit to clarity. There is no limit to abundance. There is no limit to contrast that can drive new creation. There is an ongoing process. And even if you were to collectively, as many of you believe, destroy your planet, which you are nowhere near in danger of doing, your energy would simply morph to another form. So there's truly no end to that which you are, and there is no end to that which you can create. You perhaps do not think of your environment or your creation or your being, meaning your physical bodies, as technology. But indeed, it is technology. It was designed, it was thought up, it was evolved, it was created, it was improved upon. The obstacles were introduced, obstacles were overcome or not. And in the expansion of humanity, you have seen in a very short amount of linear time what that looks like. You now have recorded history of evolution, and in your exploration of such, you are seeing the technology of creation at play, far more sophisticated than what humans have created thus far. But look how far you've come in your human created technology in a very short amount of time. Understanding that the nuts and bolts creation and organic creation are of the same origin. And that is difficult for you perhaps to wrap your heads around, because you are in this human fog, if you will, of having this experience of being a human being on planet Earth, and not understanding that the entire environment that you are experiencing was a creation that is a technology. And there is no end to that. There is no end to the expansion of that. And so therefore there is no end to what you are capable of creating as human beings.
Human beings are very interested, of course, in abundance and happiness, joy, clarity, that sort of thing. But let's take it from a more universal perspective. How important is happiness? How important is joy? How important is abundance? How important is clarity? How important are these things?
Understanding that all of these adjectives that have been created to describe certain things, very often you have many words to really describe one thing, and you have created via human judgment, which is your nature to discern preference. Therefore, you are indeed judgmental. All of you have created these variations of these things, a version of happiness. One human being's version of happiness may be quite different than another's.
True.
At your core, you are all freedom and joy-seeking beings, meaning the joy of freedom in and of itself. That is what you truly want. It is freedom, though there are elements of your ego that will hold you away from that freedom for the contrast that is offered in that separation from freedom. Because there is expansion offered in that, because your soul consciousness is always calling you forward toward freedom, toward joy, toward abundance, whatever your version of that is via your discernment. But your ego is not always in balance with that. So your ego very often is casting some judgment into what abundance means. And many of you believe that being super wealthy, for instance, is joy, is happiness, is the ultimate goal for a human being, because your commerce is tied towards so many of the things that you want to experience and have. Though there are human beings that you're all aware of that are experiencing on the levels where you believe you need to experience for happiness that are still unhappy. And notice how addicted you can become to those stories. that is this balance of ego and soul consciousness, trying to grapple with this environment that you have created for yourselves that is an environment of contrasts. But zooming out to a higher perspective and appreciating whatever it is that you've manifested as your soul journey, manifestational project, if you will. If you begin thinking of your lives in terms of that your soul has projected into a set of circumstances that has created a specific journey for you, and coming to the realization that journey is your ongoing creation via your reaction to what you've encountered, what you've manifested. And to change the trajectory of all of that, the key to that is to change the way that you have reacted and continue to react to all that you have encountered thus far. When you start to shift those belief systems and shift your recollection of things to a more positive version of, you will then raise your vibration in general and begin experiencing higher vibrational experiences in real physical time as a physically manifested being.
That's great. I love that. As I've been doing my research, preparing for this project, this new project I'm taking on, I've been drawing from a number of sources, including from the stream, from the teachings of Abraham Hicks, from the field of positive psychology, which has been burgeoning over the last 20, 25 years or so, and from a variety of sources that have been published over the years. One of the things that I picked up from the positive psychology world, and I picked it up today, I'd heard this before, but it was just kind of, I picked it up as a reminder as I was reviewing materials. The positive psychologists have determined that about 10% of our long-term happiness is predicted by our external world, what we experience in the world, what our personal success and, are we healthy? Do we have great relationships? All that kind of thing. But they also have discovered that 90% of our long-term happiness is determined by how our brains process the world we live in. And I was wondering what your perspective is on that.
We are continually sharing that you all create your bubbles of reality via your belief systems, via the systems that you have all developed. And certainly your environment is a major component of that. But it is absolutely possible for you to shift your belief system and thus shift your creation of your reality. And your scientists, void of what many of you may label as spirituality, have a tough time connecting those dots, because not all human beings are able to make that leap into understanding your eternal nature. If you are not accepting that you are eternal beings here having a very temporary human experience, and that there is a technology that created you, and you are part of the creation of that technology, indeed, in your eternal state, not connecting those dots with a little bit of faith and a little bit of imagination stops you at this place of science. And certainly science is ever evolving, and as you've mentioned, this positive psychology is relatively new to humanity, moving beyond this belief system that there are mental conditions that are just innate and therefore incurable, and moving beyond thinking of things as disorders necessarily, and coming to fully understand that you are not in a one-size-fits-all situation, and your soul consciousness is not projecting in with a singular focused journey for every being that is. Your soul is absolutely looking for different experiences for the level of sophistication that is offered in such. So the scientific community is sort of moving from here to here. The spiritual community can go a bit beyond that, because you are allowing a belief in something that is not yet proven, that connects you more to the energetic realm and your true eternal nature and your true power that is yet to be discovered. But for those who need science to prove everything for them, understand that the scientists that are making these advances are utilizing faith to develop the theory to move the science, and that they are catching up with proving it to themselves and thus proving it to others. But the scientists have faith that something that has not yet been discovered or realized is out there. They are simply working toward in a different way of proving it. You all hold the ability to prove it to yourselves by having some faith and utilizing your imaginations to bridge the gap, understanding what a powerful creative tool your imagination is. It is your choice whether to do this or not. There are no rules and there is no judgment coming from us. But if you are here absorbing our teachings are to use a little faith, that what you're absorbing from David via our offerings has value for you. Have some faith that there is a higher consciousness that you are part of, that you are not fully in tangible evidence of, that exists. And if you allow yourselves to believe that, you will start seeing evidence of that show up in your reality, because you are indeed creating that version of your reality.
Yeah, that's a great way of describing that connectedness, that achieving greater connectedness to, like you say, the higher levels of consciousness, or however we want to describe that. I love that. That's great. One of the things that the positive psychologists have been emphasizing a lot lately is what they consider to be the most important factor, the most important one that they've discovered, at least, and that is social connectedness. In other words, we are all part of a larger human collective, a human community, and that human community is actually part of a larger source energy community, if you will. But they have particularly noted a number of different ways that social connectedness has produced really strong connections to the things that we do desire, to the success in life, to healthier lives, and so on and so forth. We discussed one example of it here on the podcast yesterday, a phenomenon they call the Rosetto effect, which derives from a small town in Rosetto, Pennsylvania, that was founded in 1912 by Italian immigrants to the United States, who basically kept their old world values of community. And those old world values enabled the town, without any particular planning, to have almost no heart attacks in the 1950s and 1960s, at a time when in the United States, heart attacks were the number one killer. And actually, to this day, they still are the number one killer of people. And social scientists wanted to know, well, why? How did that happen? What was causing that? So Oklahoma researchers, the University of Oklahoma, descended on the town and just started asking questions all over the place, trying to find, common connections and so forth. And they ultimately discovered that what was making it happen was the social cohesiveness of the community. The people who lived there, they felt safe economically, they felt safe emotionally, they felt safe socially, they felt physically safe. And all those factors combined to basically create a healthier environment, despite the fact that they, by today's standards, they weren't eating healthy. Their diets were high carb, high cholesterol, high fat, too much smoking, too much drinking, all that kind of stuff. But they still managed to not have heart attacks. I wanted to ask you about social connectedness. How do you see that fitting into the overall picture of seeking abundance, seeking happiness, seeking joy, seeking clarity?
We will begin with the end of this statement, in that your reduction of stress in your bodies allows your physical apparatus, which is essentially a filtration system, to filter anything that you consume more effectively. So if you are in a higher vibrational state, if you are in a more joyful state, your filtration system is functioning at a very high level, and there is nothing that you will encounter that will not be stuck in your body, if you will, and create illness. You will flow through naturally, as all things do. Everything that you are absorbing, whether it is information or sights or sounds or aromas or food or water or whatever it is, everything that you are absorbing into your body has the ability to successfully filter out. Again, your bodies are technology. Your bodies are designed to be filtration systems. But stress in the body will cause the body to hold on to these things that you label toxins and turn them into illness, turn them into disease, and ultimately do the body in, if you will. To back up from there, the idea of collective consciousness is truly the root of that which you are. For you are expressing yourselves in this physical reality that you are experiencing, that is not really a reality. the way that you would truly describe it, it is an expression that you are experiencing, and your belief system is leading you to believe that it is physical. And that's what you're encountering. And while you're in it, it is very real. And there is nothing wrong with that. We are not guiding you to start thinking of yourselves as not real, because you are in this human life experience that while you're in it is very, very, very real to you. So we will always guide you back there rather than to around the galaxy to all these other ideas that are not serving your expansion as a physically manifested being on planet Earth. But you are a collective consciousness because you are all source. When we say that you all have this available to you, you do your own version of what David has labeled the stream and what you all call the stream. You all have that because you're all part of that. This consciousness that David is speaking for your benefit, you have access to this in your own way. The benefit of aligning with David, and the reason that those of you that are hearing these words have manifested your paths here, is because his sharing it and speaking it in the way that he does connects the dots for you and helps you in your expansive process. So there's great value in this for those who are so aligned. But you are a collective consciousness because you are essentially the same consciousness expressed as an independent strand of consciousness in physical. So when you are in physical, connecting with others, that coming together of vibrational neighbors is very, very satisfying to all of you. But you are in a polarized environment, so that polarity is going to cause you to move through this vibrational flow that we speak of all the time. And in your vibrational flow, you will manifest high and what you would consider lower vibrational experiences with your vibrational neighbors and beyond. And in doing that, present yourselves with opportunities for expansion, even if that expansion means disconnecting and moving away from some vibrational neighbors that you once resonated with highly, but you're all on these journeys, these expansive independent journeys. But when you are all together and you are in a high state of allowing, of all in a group, if you will, to be as they are without judgment, the vibration collectively is naturally going to go up. The stress is going to decrease. The life experience is going to improve. The stress that is causing the illness and things of that nature is no longer present or is greatly dissipated. So that collective consciousness nature is why community is so important to you as a physical being. It is your nature to do so. And very often people will begin what they label a spiritual journey, and they think that the key to that is to disconnect from other human beings and go to a mountaintop and meditate their days away. And maybe there's a time that's beneficial for the return to source connection that is offered in that quietened mind. But a prolonged period in that state is not your nature. And eventually you will likely manifest your way back into more of a community setting. Another component to all of this is understanding this period of vibrational flow that humanity has gone through. There's vibrational flow in everything. You have vibrational flow in your day. You have vibrational flow throughout your lifetime. Humanity, the collective consciousness of humanity, has a vibrational flow. Planet Earth has a vibrational flow. Everything has its own signature that can be measured in vibrational flow to a degree. And your collective consciousness of humanity, the period that you have moved through, that we have labeled society building, where all of your rules and your laws and your religions and customs and belief systems have all served to a degree of expansion and also provided contrast. Now you are coming together via your technology like never before, and you're questioning all of those things, and you're noticing the fracturing of them. All of your institutions are becoming fractured. Government is making less and less sense to all of you. Religion is making less and less sense to many of you. All of your customs and traditions and even your gender expression is all coming into question. And that is because you are collectively questioning like never before and communicating in such a way that you even though you have been removed for a period of linear time from your natural source connection by the externalization of source, of spirit, and the idea of an external judgmental God, if you will, that has been very prevalent for quite some time. you are moving through that period back to your natural source connection. And notice that your ability to communicate is moving you back to a natural source connection, and you are manifesting paths back to more of a collective consciousness, meaning a virtual reality where you have developed technology that is actually more in alignment with the way that you exist eternally, where you are all able to communicate regardless of where you are geographically. Notice that. Notice that this expansion has caused you all to return to your homes, to your dwellings. And you find yourselves on mediums such as this, communicating in ways that you would have never imagined just a few years ago, that you would be developing friendships and business relationships and communicating and teaching and speaking and sharing information that is connecting you on a mental way. And you are sort of releasing your need for so much physical contact. In fact, you've even manifested illnesses that are driving you away from that.
Yeah.
This is what you have manifested for yourselves as humanity, and it is serving your expansion. Yet there is contrast on all topics. So there are elements of it, especially when it is reacted to in a negative way. Those that are complaining about not being able to live life the way they were before, that are sort of stuck in how things were a year or two ago, are having a rougher time of this. Whereas those that are moving with the flow and finding things to appreciate in their now, meaning that you have the technology to communicate. There have been illnesses that have spread across your continents and even your planet in the past where this technology did not exist, and beings were forced back into their dwellings with little contact with others. Now you have all this technology. So you are once again going through this vibrational flow where humanity is moving more toward a virtual reality environment, which is actually more akin to your eternal state.
Yeah, that's really cool. I love that. And what you're hinting at there, I don't know that you actually stated it directly, but you were hinting strongly at it, is that source energy and our interconnectedness through source energy it sounds like it's a very high level of community in the sense that we understand community. It sounds like it's a very high level of not just physical connectedness, but emotional and experiential connectedness, life connectedness. It's like that's where life really is in its highest form. Am I reading that right?
The condition or the situation of what David calls, and many of you refer to as serendipity. When you connect with other human beings or other beings and you have these high vibrational moments that are simply high vibrational for their being without anything that is magnificent going on or extraordinary going on, just the connection in and of itself is the source of very high vibrational joy. That is your true nature. And you have all been taught to hold yourselves away from that and not value that as much as things that your employment and your wealth can buy you. But you're coming back around to understanding that while your human created things, experiences, possessions can spark joy and can be very satisfying to experience, because the things that you appreciate most in a physical reality, even the human created things, are expressions of that which we are. So you naturally appreciate them. And there is no judgment around your experiencing and even possessing them. But needing those things for joy and not understanding that there is great joy to be obtained outside of that is the key to true happiness for any being. Because the true happiness lies in the connectedness and the resonance with others. And understand that if you look across humanity, you are all on these independent journeys, and there's contrast always in a physical environment. So you're never going to be in this one utopian place where you're all just agreeing with one another. But understand that if you were to magically be able to remove fear and judgment in an instant across humanity, there would be nothing separating any of you. All of your tools of separation are tools of fear that tap into your natural judgment, your discernment of preference as a being. And if you remove those elements, then you do all come together. And it is your desire to exist in such a way, though since you were in a polarized environment, that is essentially guaranteeing that you're not going to achieve that. But the not achieving of it is exactly what keeps the universe alive, if you will. The experiencing of unwanted things and in solving them and evolving past that and moving through them, the solving of. So the desire for perfection is very powerful. It is not going to necessarily go away. The understanding of vibrational flow is not something that's going to spread across humanity. And when a physical environment reaches that level of understanding across the entire environment, that environment in physical form ceases to be, because there is no use for it any longer. It is no longer contributing to universal expansion. But as we have playfully said many times, planet Earth is nowhere near that. You are creating ways to come together like never before. And as you create new ways to come together and like minds gather, there is contrast. So for all of you that are moving more toward finding joy in the little things in your now and zooming out and appreciating all that is, you have an entirely separate group of people that are finding more conspiracies and looking for more control and wanting things to go back to the way they were decades ago and wanting that drag on expansion is part of the creation of expansion. And the more you can appreciate all of it, the happier you are going to be. And appreciating the fact that perhaps they're not happy. And that's okay for them not to be happy. In their unhappiness, they're creating the drag on your expansion that keeps planet Earth from expanding and exploding into no longer being a physical environment.
That's really a great point.
If that does occur, we often say that we are not in the business of predicting your future, because what the twists and turns that are next for humanity are indeed the creation of humanity, just as the twists and turns that are manifested in your personal life experience are your creation. We are not going to take that away from you, because that is your entire purpose of being here. So we are not here to tell you what's next based on your birth sign or anything of that nature, because it is truly up to you. That is why you don't have a collective consciousness of every astrological sign having the same exact experience. The vibrational flow may be different based on that, but how they respond to it makes all the difference. That is what we are here teaching. That yes, there is a quickening that is occurring on your planet. And the reason this quickening, if you will, is occurring is because the collective consciousness of humanity is ascending. But that ascension is an up level. There are many, 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 many more levels to be experienced before planet Earth comes together in this utopian scenario and ceases to be. And there is no timeline for that. There is no prediction of that. That is the natural expansion and lifespan, if you will, of a physical environment. But it's our promise to you that all of the soul consciousness in every element of your planet has consciousness running through it, if you will, attached to it, regardless of whether it's a rock or the most brilliant human being you've encountered. All of it is consciousness. And all of that consciousness will never cease to be. It will simply move on to another form and choose to manifest in physical yet again for the expansive experience that is offered, regardless of what happens on your planet. But you are nowhere near that scenario anyway. You've got plenty of contrast. And just when you begin to solve things and come together like never before, you see the pendulum swing the other way, and you see an explosion of all sorts of things that create contrast in your environment. This is vibrational flow. This is the powerful creative process of the universe.
Wow, so many different things in there that all tie together beautifully, but there's some great reminders in there, particularly for those of us who fancy ourselves conscious creators. We want to create consciously. We do want that for a variety of reasons, but usually having to do with our own growth, our own abundance, our own fulfilled life and so forth. But some of the reminders are we certainly can have influence on our fellow man. We can help to make a better world and so forth. But that creation of a better world is not what our happiness is dependent upon. And the less that we attach ourselves to, all of humanity has to come together, the better off we do, which is a little bit contrary to the way we often think about it. But it's a great zoom out. I like your term, the way you talk about zooming out consciously. It's a great way of zooming out, realizing I don't have to solve all the problems of the world in order to be happy. I don't have to solve all the problems of the world in order to be abundant. I I don't have to solve all the problems of the world in order to have the life I'm looking to have. I can simply appreciate how it's all playing out. That's what you were describing. You were describing this whole expanse of appreciation from the lowest to the highest, from the most painful to the most joyful, and everything in between. And that level of appreciation, that zoom back thing that you're talking about, I mean, it's almost impossible to describe all the different ways that it works together, but boy, that really works together, doesn't it?
Indeed, it does. You are those of you that are finding your paths to this message have done enough work to take yourselves to what many of you would refer to as the leading edge of thought. And there are things that you are absorbing and comprehending right now that would not be able to be comprehended by any human being not long ago. But you have collectively created this expansion to this space. So you move through this period where religions had this major influence and certainly served many and continue to serve many. Because you all create your bubble of reality based on your belief system. And if you believe your religion is serving you, indeed it is. And there is no judgment from us around any of that. But this idea of law of attraction was this manifestation that came about and disrupted for many who felt turned off by all of the religion and spirituality they were taught, suddenly found this sort of leading edge thought, if you will, about how they were creating their reality. And they had enough evidence of it being real in their lives where they started studying it. And they could see it in the lives of others, perhaps more clearly than they could see it in their own. And then the path to more beyond New Age spirituality. We have referred to this in the past as next age spirituality, where you are sort of releasing the need for a lot of the human crafted entities and beings and theories and things of this and simply getting back to your true eternal nature and understanding how you create your reality, what true happiness and joy means for you as a physically manifested being, and that your power and your joy is in your now. It's not about moving through life and reaching some goal at the end of life and getting a prize after. The prize is available in your now, regardless of what you have manifested. And understanding the power of your thoughts and the power of your imagination. And you get into that, and either through vibrational flow, you get into it, you manifest some things that you want, and you perhaps become disenchanted with it when the big things don't arrive, and you stop. And you go back to step one and you stay in this cycle. But some will move beyond that, will want to be the one that finds the solution of moving through these things that you often label as abundance blocks when you're not receiving the things that you want most. Some will figure all of that out. Others will move beyond that even to this space that has been created via these teachings, via your own curiosity, where you are now understanding the true nature of the universe, the true nature of humanity. And it's all adding up and making sense for all of you that are absorbing it, because you have manifested your paths here and you are out on the edge. And there are not tens of millions that are ready for this yet, but the more all of you share this information and the more all of you come to comprehend this, the more it's naturally going to spread. And as it spreads, more and more of humanity will get out to this leading edge. And there will still be many, many more that will not. And that is the beauty of the environment that has been crafted here. Because those that are coming to understand will find peace in their now and find peace with everything that's going on in your environment, while there are many, many others that will have exactly the opposite experience, that will believe it's the end of the world, that will believe that the world is never going to go back to this beautiful, amazing, harmonious place that never existed in the first place. They are selectively recalling things from a certain perspective that were never what you would call truth for all beings. You have no history of that on your planet recorded because it has never happened, because you are in a physical environment, and physical environments are polarized. And all of them, every physical environment is polarized. And here you are co-creating this experience that has brought you out to here. And not long ago, you perhaps felt like you had the keys to the universe just understanding law of attraction. And now there's so much more. there is no end to it. There is no ceiling. This is why we use the term coming out to the leading edge, because you are going to continue to build the next edge.
Yeah, that's really true. Now, one thing I've been learning as I've been kind of piecing together this new career for myself of public speaking is that the most successful public speakers are the ones who select a problem to solve, and then in the course of their talk, they help listeners to solve that problem. The problem that I've been aiming at for my first set of talks is related with young people who are of college age, who are dealing with the stresses and the pressures of being in college, and who want to do things to shift those pressures and stresses so that they aren't affected by them as much anymore. And I'm going into it knowing full well there's going to be a large chunk of the population that isn't going to want to hear it, but I'm trying to reach those who do want to hear it. And people who are in that place are dealing with a lot of stuff. I mean, the statistics show, I think it's something like 10% of all college students are actually committing suicide. I mean, the levels of anxiety and frustration and pressures are off the scale. I think it was like 65% of all college students either know someone who committed suicide or tried to commit suicide. 62% felt the anxiety on a regular basis. 62% felt pressures and stresses and felt like they were experiencing depression. I mean, it's like, you know, they're creating this massive study, if you will. I don't think they think of it as a study; they think of it as their lives. But their lives are creating this study of all the different ways that life is miserable for them. And I want to try to help those people who want to grow out of that to see if they really can do it through a variety of different tools. Now, I'm collecting all these different tools from these variety of sources. One of the tools I want is what the stream presents. So if the stream were in my place, I guess that's where I'm going with this. If the stream were in my place and the stream were talking to this group of people, what would the stream say to these people to help them make that shift, to make that transition to a better feeling and more successful and lower stress and lower pressure existence?
We would bring them to an understanding, if they so choose to follow, of the fact that all of these rules, including your system of measuring your maturity, you have a system of measuring readiness for certain life experiences in terms of calendar years that are all human creation, and certainly your planet revolving around your sun makes sense to use that as a form of measurement in your seasons and such as this. But having this marker of 18 years of age or 21 years of age or 12 years of schooling and making that a one-size-fits-all readiness to go typically from a at-home environment that is very protected and safe out into an environment that is very opposite of that, very independent, while layering on a new city, perhaps, a new state, perhaps, new people around you, perhaps, new structure for how you attend your classes and how you absorb your teaching, new responsibilities financially. David was speaking very recently about his brother going into great debt and others going into debt right off the bat to go to college. So you have many that are getting into debt, perhaps for the first time, likely for the first time in their lives, for this environment that they've been thrust into that they are not vibrationally adjusted to right away. There's a vibrational adjustment to any shift. So when you factor in that many vibrational adjustments to one being at one time, of course you're going to introduce significant contrast. Of course you are. And the more they can absorb teaching such as this, but one of the things about a human being, and especially the way that you've structured humanity at this time on your planet, where your physical bodies go through a maturing process, and that is different for every individual, but you have this cutoff point where you are now a legal adult, and understanding that cutoff point should not necessarily be viewed the same for all, and bringing them into a place of understanding that. But the interesting part to all of this is that cutoff point happens at a time in a human being's development that typically they are not wanting to be taught externally. They are wanting to discover things themselves. And the very best that you can offer, the very best that David can offer, is putting yourselves out there void of concern, of ridicule or judgment or anything of that nature, and simply being there for those that are ready to absorb it when they're ready. And understanding that in-person speaking has some value, but with this technology that has been created, the on-demand nature of that technology actually holds far more value in reaching those that are ready when they're ready. Because you can create a video such as this, and this video may not reach that many people in the beginning, but as the collective consciousness expands and more humans become ready for this very interaction that you are in right now, this video will get more views and more shares, and at some point it will explode. But as beings become ready to receive the information. So from your human judgment, you put information out, you put a speech out that you're very excited about, and 10 people watch it, and only 2 of those 10 give you feedback that they like it, and you perhaps judge it as a failure. But understanding that you are creating a piece of content with this magnificent technology that you have all created and putting it out there, and it lives on infinitely in the way things have been crafted. You are creating a virtual reality that is moving you back to how you were before you came to physical. And most of you do not even realize that the thing that you have labeled the pandemic has caused you all to dive even deeper into this technology, that you are becoming more virtual, but there's more benefit to your virtual reality than you even comprehend at this point.
Yeah, that's really true. I mean, we keep coming back to that. I was coming back to that in my my note taking today as I was exploring the various sources that I'm drawing upon. How the pandemic is doing exactly what you talked about. How it's causing us to connect via technology, via electronics, in ways that we've never done before, and it's affecting careers. It's affecting social interaction. It's affecting schooling. I mean, I'm talking about students here, so it's affecting schooling. It's affecting all aspects of our society. And I'm finding it fascinating that you're describing it as a way of kind of reconnecting to where we originally came from. That I hadn't thought about it that way, but that's a really great point. So thank you for that. Just maybe like a quick summary. We got like 3 or 4 minutes left. What can you tell to kind of pull all this together? Because we've covered kind of a wide range here, but how would you pull all this together?
The bits and pieces that we have woven together in this interaction can all be summed up in the fact that you are all strands of eternal consciousness living in a state of freedom and joy. We should correct and say existing in a state of freedom and joy eternally, and choosing to come into a physical environment that you co-create and have a physical experience that is your mind's creation, your consciousness creation. And in understanding your nature from that high perspective, that zoomed out perspective, and understanding that every strand of consciousness is here on a different journey that is truly not to be judged. And in your releasing the judgment of those collective journeys, you will naturally release the judgment of your own. And therefore, you will come to appreciate everything that you have manifested in your being up until the point that you are perceiving as your now moment. That is very, very, very important, because that judgment of self and accepting that everything is indeed your manifestation, even if you do not understand how or why you manifested in the moment, the finding appreciation for is a very powerful tool. So when you see yourselves as an eternal strand of consciousness and start accepting that that is your true nature, and that this physical body and that this physical life experience is an expression, an experience that you are crafting for yourself, and that you have complete control over it via your perspective of it. That is what you would call a major game changer in all of your lives. And sometimes it takes a few rounds of hearing our teachings to fully absorb that. And once you fully absorb it, you will move very quickly to a higher level of understanding of yourselves, which is a very powerful, transformative experience that we are offering for all of you who are so aligned. Much love.
Fabulous. So thank you very much, Stream, because that's been wonderful. We're going to let you reconnect to David being David. And David, as you're coming back to join us, the Stream just gave me like so much material. I'm going to have to go back and play this whole episode minute by minute just to grab the material that they gave me. But that was fabulous. That was really good.
This video is going to be big.
Yeah, I think so.
I don't know if we have to do anything to make that happen. I just think it's I just know that. And I don't even remember exactly what they shared, but I just know that this is, this was a great experience, Walt.
I was loving it, but I could tell other people would love it.
It's like they came in with an agenda and you were aligned with that and you just drew it out of them exactly. It's really cool because it's interesting timing. I love this co-creative stuff so much. I'm actually tearing up.
I love it.
Well, I'm writing the Taya book. I thought I was finished, and then all this new stuff kind of came forward. And I just wrote this chapter. I finished writing this final chapter that we added. We had a whole section, and it will be right now in the current version. It's chapter 7 of the book. So it's kind of in the first half of the book still. Is all this. And so that got put on paper. That reality was birthed. Your inspiration to come, and we didn't talk about the questions before the show at all.
Nope.
Come and ask the perfect questions. I just love this stuff. The perfect questions, draw out the perfect information and the perfect interaction. That I hope everybody watches a few times because it'll click. It'll take a few times maybe, but it'll click. And when it clicks, it's going to be like, oh my God, the purpose of life, the purpose of the universe, all wrapped up in one interaction.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I'm sitting here, like I said, I don't usually go back and replay my episodes, partly because there's so many of them and partly because I just don't really have the interest in doing it. This one, I'm going to go back and dissect this one. Before we're even done, I know that I needed to go do that because there was just so much packed in there. And what I was able to glean from it during the first interaction was like, yes, 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 yes. Everything was yes.
Yeah, that was very cool. It was a very cool moment for me because I got on late. We barely had a chance to say hello. We went live.
Right.
And then you said you had these great questions. I'm always eager for whatever that is, and I never want to hear the questions in advance because it's the stream. And right. then I just know that it just flowed the way that it was supposed to flow. So I can't wait to go back and watch it too.
Yeah, really. This is going to be a good one. So I'll be sure to give Carrie the link so that she can, distribute it with all.
I want to share it because I think this is really, really good stuff.
Yeah, this is going to be good. I mean, when the stream mentioned that's going to start off slow and then it's going to just take off, I thought, holy crap. I mean, you never get any prediction from the stream. That was the closest they've ever come to a prediction. That was wild.
That's true. They don't do that often. I don't remember that part.
No.
But they don't do that often. So if they did, that's pretty meaningful.
That was just like, really? Holy cow. So good stuff. All right. Well, thank you very much, David. I mean, as usual, this is more than as usual, but as usual, this has been phenomenal, just absolutely phenomenal. So thank you very much for continuing to come onto the program. A reminder to people, if you want to have your question answered by the Stream of David, use the LOA Today app to use the form to send in your question, and we will be glad to include it. But in the meantime, I will be talking to you next week. I hope you have a great week, David. And I hope that our listeners have a great week as well. By the way, I think the live stream was pretty silent, except for one comment at the end that said, "You guys are awesome. Thank you." So that shows what kind of level of attention we're getting from the live stream. Really, really cool.
That's cool.
Just thought I'd throw that in.
Oh, and by the way, I'm doing an event on Saturday, the channel panel. It's all channels. 2 days. I think it's Saturday and Sunday. I'm on Saturday. If you're in my group, the Taya Practice on Facebook, if you're not, go join the Taya Practice, TYA. We're going to have links in there where you can sign up. I think you pay to be on there as a spectator, but it's lots of people channeling, and it goes on for a few hours on Saturday and Sunday. I'll put a link in the group. Go check that out because the stream will be there, and there'll be lots of other people. If you're into channeling, it's going to be a cool thing to go watch.
Great. Okay. Well, sounds good. So thank you very much. Thank you, live streamers. Thank you especially to our podcast listeners. We'll see you all next time here on LOA Today. Goodbye, everybody.